Hello everyone, welcome back to our class in Sci 115. And now let's discuss about hunger, the regulation of the body's nutrients. So, as we all know, hunger is an automatic response of our body in order to regulate the body's nutrients, no? Which can help or aid in our survival. Emotions and learning exert more influence on our eating behaviors than what they do on the regular behaviors. Not only do we eat to obtain energy and specific nutrients, but we also eat for pleasure as well. So complex cultural and psychological factors can really overwhelm the body's natural regulatory mechanisms, which can lead to some eating disorders like obesity, anorexia, or bulimia nervosa. So culture has really a big impact, no, on our eating behavior. Learned food preferences begin at a surprisingly early point in life. I believe through the aid of social media, we are being oriented, about the what kind of foods that on which our body should eat, and what are the foods that are considered to be not healthy for us. Now, exposure to such flavors through the amniotic fluid or breast milk when we are still young appears to influence later our food choice. So yung breast milk na galing sa ating mga mother, no, it does affect our palate, no, our taste buds. What food do we like when we grow up? Alam nyo ba yon? No? So meron palang ganun, no? Orexin is a peptide neurochemical produced in the lateral hypothalamus that stimulates eating. Ito yung parang nagpapagutom sa atin, no? Satiety is the opposite of hunger, no? Satiety, this is the sensation of feeling of being full. Okay, hence there is a cessation of eating. Kapag puno na yung tiyan mo, no, you feel this, satiety. The amygdala is the part of the brain that is responsible on appetite, which responds also to one's emotion. Okay, the thyroid gland produces hormones that regulates body's metabolic rate, controlling the heart, muscle, and digestive function, the brain development, and bone maintenance. During the process of digestion, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats are broken down into components which are used immediately or stored for later use. So yun yung process. No? Through carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, this is broken down into components. Glucoreceptors, no, in the lateral hypothalamus participate in the identification of hunger and the initiation of feeding behavior. Okay, the ventromedial hypothalamus, the paraventricular nucleus, and the nucleus of the solitary tract appear to participate in satiety, no, sa pagkabusog. Sensible diets and moderate exercise result also in weight loss, which also chemical and surgical interventions are becoming popular nowadays, like surgery, liposuctions, no? But there are no actually easy fixes available for treating obesity. I can recommend, proper diet and exercise first before going into the knife, no? Complex cultural and physical processes really contribute to the development and course of anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa. So, because of this demands or images of culture in our own bodies, no, it really implies that becoming beautiful is, thin or like that. But we have to really be more holistic than that, no? We have to really see internal beauty rather than physical or external beauty. Let's define these two, physical versus psychological hunger. What are the difference? Because you know what, being hungry is different from craving. I hope you can understand. Hunger is different from craving. Okay, physical hunger, this is when your stomach is empty and your brain signals that it is hungry by initiating the stomach growling. So, yung chan mo tumutunog na, no? Thoughts about food. So, yung mga isip mo, yung mindset mo or yung mismong way of thinking mo talagang nasa pagkain na, and feelings of irritability. So sometimes parang irritable tayo kapag tayo gutom, no? Tiredness and poor concentration. So kapag medyo gutom na tayo, hindi na tayo makapagtrabaho or makapag-aral ng maayos. When you're physically hungry, any food will satisfy you, and this is actually a good thing. Feeling your hunger cues is important, and a great way to know it if you are consuming adequate food or not. Okay. So, ayun. So, physical hunger, this occurs with no guilt. There is a sense of satisfaction after eating. There is a deliberate choice of food, no? You're aware, mindful eating. What are you eating, alam mo? Occurs in response to a sensation in your body, no? So that is physical hunger. For psychological hunger naman, this is when we eat due to our emotions, also known as emotional eating. Whether it is because of boredom, stress, sadness, or loneliness, which often leads to feelings of regret or guilt. During this time of isolation, it is more likely than you will reach for foods like ice cream, chocolate, chips, something that can, give you pleasure. It's more of pleasurable eating. Now, psychological hunger can lead to a binge eating disorder. Wala ka nang pakialam kung ano yung mga mismong kinakain mo, yung butter, carbs, oh gosh, you don't actually know that this food can really destroy your body, chocolate, sugar, all of those, no? Which can lead to binge, and in which we don't actually try to determine, or wala na tayong pakialam if what can this do to us. Craving pushes you to eat even if your body doesn't need more fuel. So again, class, it's good to differentiate hunger and craving. Huh? Okay? So for psychological hungers, there are feelings of guilt and regret. Okay, so you still want more or a different type of food even though you are already full or nasa state of satiety ka na. Okay, so that is the difference. I hope you can understand and apply this in your life. Okay, how does the process of digestion takes place? So foods are broken down into usable chemicals by the digestive tract. So digestion begins in the mouth where saliva is mixed with food. The water and enzymes contained in saliva begin the breakdown of food into a semi-liquid state that can be then swallowed. The saliva is automatically secreted when food enters the mouth. This is through the autonomic nervous system. After food is swallowed, it proceeds through the esophagus to the stomach where it is mixed with hydrochloric acid and pepsin. These chemicals break down the food particles into even smaller pieces. The partially digested food is released periodically through the duodenum into the small intestine where the process of digestion is completed. Indigestible materials travel on to the large intestines where water is reabsorbed and feces are formed. During digestion, fats, proteins, and carbohydrates are absorbed into the blood supply and circulated to the waiting tissues. Fats are reused for immediate energy or stored by adipose tissue or fat cells. Okay. The hormone, CCK, is released when large quantities of fat are consumed. Proteins are broken down into amino acids and used by muscles and other tissues for growth and protein synthesis. Carbohydrates are broken into simple sugars, including glucose. Under normal circumstances, glucose is the exclusive source of energy for the brain, whereas the rest of the body can both use glucose and fatty acids. Excess glucose is stored as fat by adipose tissue or converted by the liver into a complex carbohydrate called glycogen, which is for storage. If the body requires more energy, then can be supplied by the glucose circulating in the blood, such as during a period of fasting, the liver converts glycogen back into a readily available glucose. No? Consequently, we maintain a fairly steady level of blood glucose over time. That's how digestion takes place. No? I hope you can try to read this further for you to understand how does it actually take place, or what are those parts, what are those components that are responsible for digestion. Okay, let's discuss about diabetes. Okay. Diabetes or diabetes mellitus is a chronic, long-lasting health condition that affects how your body turns food into energy. This involves the insulin. No, most of the food you eat is broken down into sugar, diba? Which is also called as glucose, sugar, glucose, and release it into your bloodstream. When your blood sugar goes up, it signals your pancreas to release insulin. Okay, so we have two types of diabetes: diabetes type 1 and diabetes type 2. Okay, so type 1 is a diabetes that started when you are still born. So it is a genetic disorder that often shows up early in life. Type 2 naman is largely caused of a diet-related consequence, and it develops over time on the person's growth. So type 1, okay, it is a genetic disorder. Type 2 naman, it is related to one's diet, no? And it develops over time. Okay, so ano yung mga terms natin dito? We have glucose, a type of sugar found in foods that is a major source of energy for living organisms, like sa rice, no? Yung mga carbohydrate, it consists of glucose. Glycogen, this is a complex carbohydrate used to store energy in the liver. Glucagon, it is a pancreatic hormone that converts glycogen into glucose. Right? And insulin, it is a pancreatic hormone that facilitates the movement of sugars from the blood supply to the body's tissues. Okay, let's further differentiate type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is a form of diabetes that appears early in life and characterized by the insufficient production of insulin. Type 2 naman, the form of diabetes generally that is diagnosed in middle-aged adults that is characterized by the resistance to insulin. Okay, I hope you can understand this. Okay, now let's differentiate hyperthyroidism from hypothyroidism. So, thyroid disease, no? Thyroid gland is the one that is involved here. Hyperthyroidism is an overactive thyroid, no? When it produces too much thyroid hormone. So, it accelerates the body's metabolisms that cause the unintentional weight loss and a rapid or irregular heartbeat. In hyperthyroidism, there is an irritation of your thyroid known as thyroiditis, that which allows too much thyroid hormones to enter the blood. So the main experience here is of course fast heartbeat, increased appetite, anxiety, sensitivity to heat, or sudden weight loss. So yun yung effect ng hyperthyroidism, no? Yung there is deficiency in one's thyroid gland. In hypothyroidism naman, it is an underactive thyroid when it does not produce enough. Ito naman, hindi siya nagpo-produce ng tama. So in hypothyroidism, the gland's hormones production is slow, no? Hypothyroidism is a common condition where the thyroid doesn't create and release enough thyroid hormone into your bloodstream, which makes your metabolism slow. Okay, so mas pinakabagal niya yung metabolism mo. So, the common thing that is being experienced here, syempre, weight gain, and so on and so forth. So, that is the common thing that is being experienced for hypothyroidism. So, this is when it is an underactive thyroid, when it does not produce enough thyroid. Okay, I hope you understand the main difference of the two. Now let's discuss the different eating disorders. So in your abnormal psychology course, you will really understand it even more. What are those eating disorders, no, that is classified in DSM? So let's define first body mass index. So BMI is a measure comparing your height and weight that is used to determine underweight, healthy weight, overweight, and obesity. So obesity is the state of being extremely overweight with a body mass index of 30 to 39.9, or a weight that is 20% higher than typical weight. Okay, what is the difference, sir, between anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa? No? Anorexia nervosa, an eating disorder characterized by voluntary self-starvation and a gross, distorted body image. So in this type of disorder, no, this is characterized mainly by hindi ka kumakain, you are not eating the food, okay, and you're starving yourself. There's also like you're over exercising as well, and also there is a distorted image, no, you feel that you are fat, no, or hindi ka payat, no, or hindi maganda yung pagtingin mo sa iyong katawan. Bulimia nervosa naman, ang difference nila, an eating disorder that is characterized by cycles of binging and purging. So dito, the person eats, no, kumakain yung tao, but afterwards there is a feeling of guilt which leads the person to purge. Purging yung sinusuka niya through yung fingers, di ba? Tapos, what else? Laxatives, intense exercise. So, those are the types of purging, no? Through the use of laxatives, yung pagsuka, at saka intense exercise. Okay? So, it involves purging. Yun yung difference nila, no? Bulimia nervosa. Normal naman yung pagkain, pero the person feels guilt and at the same time, he purges it. Binge eating disorder naman is a severe life-threatening and treatable eating disorder which is characterized by recurrent episodes of eating large quantities of food, often very quickly and to the point of discomfort. So ito yung grabe kumain, yung binge eating. This is a feeling of a loss of control during the binge, experience of shame, distress, or guilt afterwards. If nakanood kayo ng Insatiable na series, no, si Patty Bladel, so ito yung disorder niya, no? Yung hindi niya mapigilan yung kanyang sarili sa pagkain. Okay? But also, meron ding side note doon ng bulimia nervosa kasi she exercise well. Parang may intense exercise siya na ginagawa kasi she's joining a pageant and after she binges or she really eats a lot, she starts to purge it through exercising intensely. Okay, so binge eating disorder, ito yung hindi ka you cannot control, no? Large and large quantities of food kahit na busog ka na, to the point of discomfort. Treatments for eating disorder. So actually, there's no yet medication to date has proven to be effective in alleviating anorexia or bulimia nervosa or other eating disorders, but antidepressants, particularly SSRIs, are frequently useful in the management of bulimia. No, and of course, with the combination of psychotherapy, which is CBT, and it is effective, no? Just like what I said sa inyo, effective siya yung mga psychotherapy if it is combined with medication and vice versa. The first priority when treating anorexia is to keep the patient alive because 'di ba hindi na siya kumakain. So kailangan talaga minsan may some patients meron na talaga silang dextrose para talaga yung nutrients diretso na sa kanilang blood vessels. May mga cases din na mga ganun class, no? Na talagang ayaw na talaga yung kumain, wala na talaga siyang gana. So, ang ginagawa talaga is diretso na sa vein yung nutrients na kailangan ng person na yon. So, sometimes it does require period of hospitalization and careful monitoring of food intake. Addressing the distorted body image that characterize eating disorders is also essential aspect of treatment. So, of course, psychological interventions, now CBT is important. It is changing the way the person think about his self, his body, or her body. I think that's the first step in treating this disorder. That is the end of the lesson. Class, I hope you've learned something about hunger. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.